Hey there, it's David H. Lawrence, the 17th, and today I want to talk to you about an area on our resumes that we tend to kind of gloss over, and it's really important, especially in the world of voiceover, that you get this right. So, casting directors look at our resumes and they're looking for truth. They can smell deception, they can smell fear, they can smell I kind of know what I'm doing even though I say I'm an expert. They can smell newbie-ness. And one of the smelliest areas on a resume, a performance resume, is the accents and dialects. And it's really easy to tell whether somebody has paid a lot of attention to this or not so much. Now, if you're not good at accents or dialects, that's okay. Not many people are as expert as the biggest names in the industry. But if you claim to have an accent or dialect, don't unless you actually do. And what I mean by that is be sure that you're like world class before you put it on a resume. If you can't really do a Southern Mongolian accent, don't put it on your resume because a Southern Mongolian will walk into the room and take the job from you. Here's how I can tell when somebody doesn't pay much attention to this area of their resume. So I'll look at a resume and it'll say New York accent, or it'll say British accent, or it'll say Southern accent. And right off the bat, that tells me that the person that is composing the resume, trying to represent themselves as a professional, doesn't really quite have a grasp of what casting directors know or expect from pros. For example, if you say you have a New York accent, what New York accent do you have? Do you have a Brooklyn accent? Do you have a Bronx accent? Staten Island, Long Island, New York City itself? If you say you have a British accent, I mean, they've identified well over 150 different British accents, right? East End, Cockney, Liverpudlian, Birmingham, Manchester, Scottish has Highlands, Midlands, Border, Irish, several different dozen variants there. So when you say you have a British accent or a New York accent or a Southern accent, so a Southern accent in Texas, especially in Dallas, is going to sound different than a Southern accent in Georgia. It's going to sound different than a Southern accent in the Carolinas or in Virginia. And people know when they listen to you if they're from that area. For example, I grew up in the Great Lakes region, and from Buffalo, Rochester, down through Erie, down through Cleveland, through Gary to Chicago, Detroit. That's all kind of a similar accent. It's a Great Lakes accent where we park our cars in the driveway and we deliver the plain dealer and we root for the Browns and the Indians and whatnot. But that's an accent that someone from that area would be able to recognize. You look at a resume and you go, okay, what do you mean by this? Do you mean you can kind of do an accent and you kind of have an idea of So I guess what I'm trying to say is take advantage of a link that's on this page. There was a guy by the name of Robert Delaney from CW Post campus out on Long Island, which has his own particular accent, and he created a map of accents all across the country. And if you want to look at it, it's on the page on the Go website that this video is on. Now, the list of accents, I'm going to run through it so that you can hear it's not just Southern and Northeastern, Boston, New York. Here's the list. General Northern, Northern New England, Eastern New England, Boston Urban, Boston Central Area, Western New England, Hudson Valley, New York City, Brooklyn, Bonac, which is Long Island, Inland Northern, San Francisco Urban, Upper Midwestern, Minnewegian, Chicago Urban, Northern Midland. This list goes on and on. The Southern ones, Southern Appalachian, Virginia Piedmont, Coastal Southern, Gula, Gulf Southern. In Louisiana, there are 4 different accents: Cajun English, Cajun French, Yat, French Creole. It just goes on and on and on. So what does this mean for you when you put down on a resume, I do a British accent? Do you mean received pronunciation? Do you mean Queen's English? Do you mean presenter British? Do you mean regional? What region? So get a little bit more specific about this. And if you can't, then it's okay to just leave that off your resume. Because what you don't want to do is go to a casting director and say on your resume that you have a particular thing and they ask you to do it and it's not that good because it's not that specific, right? Now, if you're doing sort of caricaturish stuff for a cartoon, who cares? But if you're being asked to do ADR work and they need a specific type of accent, you just don't want to put yourself in a position where you have to explain, oh yeah, well, I thought that was good. I'm sorry. I thought that was good enough. I didn't know. Right. So I just want to give you, and check it out. And there's plenty of resources on the web where you can do that. So my question to you is, what accents do you do fantastically? What accents do you do that you're native at? You grew up with it, or you your family, you had family in that area, and so you pick things up. Do you do a Pittsburgh accent, a Baltimore? What do you do? I'd love to know. Put it in the comments below. I'd really appreciate it. If you want to subscribe to my channel, there's a subscribe button somewhere below this video if you're on VO2GoGo, or you can click on my head there. If the head isn't there, look for the subscribe button. If you want to see the latest video I put out in this series of one a day, just go ahead and click on that frame and it'll play for you. I'm David H. Lawrence, the 17th. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.